I used to think that this was my town. What a stupid thing to think. I hear you biting off a brain down.
Welcome to Civic Media Mid-Mornings here on the Civic Media Radio Network. My name is Greg Bach. I didn't forget. I just gave that dramatic pause. You are joining us this morning on the show. We are here with you until 11 a.m. I'm happy you're here sharing time with us as always. If you ever want to be part of the conversation, you can always call. You can text 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. You can leave a comment on that live stream. We are currently streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform that we still call Twitter. As Ed Sullivan used to say, we got a really big show for you today. We're going to be talking about a lot of great stuff. One big topic up top. But in the 10 o'clock hour, the host of Nightlight, Pete Schwaba, will be here. He's a buddy of mine. I'm excited to have him on the program. We talking all things entertainment, comedy, his show, discussing, maybe the ideas of what comedy does in a modern landscape. And probably be talking about the Oscars coming up. I'm looking at his thing right here. There's going to be a whole host of things that Pete and I are talking about. It's going to be entertainment, sports, comedy. We're both comedians. We both live in that world. So we'd love for you to be a part of that conversation. I always love talking to other comics about, when society relies upon us to be the truth tellers, how dangerous is that and how much trouble may we be in depending on who we are talking to and who we are giving our time to. So that's all going to be with Pete in the 10 o'clock hour. And then we'll have ourselves a handy tip from Greg. I think we might even be able to throw in some thrifting talk. Yesterday, we were talking about the fact that Dom, who our producer up in Madison, is a thrifter. Mm-hmm. The fact that thrifting to me is when you buy 13 shirts for maybe say $10. And he's like, I bought this sweater for $1,000. It says, great job.
It was just 40. It was just $40. It wasn't anything too crazy.
I know. I'm just saying. But yeah, we might be bringing that into the topic as well. But yeah, we're talking about all that in today's show. Yes, Dom is up in Madison right now. He is our producer this morning. My name is Greg. I am down here in Racine at Radio Park. 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Leave a comment on the live stream. We are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform that we still call Twitter. Dom, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I know every single day so far I've said, wow, it's a really nice day. And again, really nice day. I feel like I'm walking on sunshine here. So I'm having a good time. I have my Monster with me, and I'm ready to go.
Are you talking about the drink?
Yeah, the drink. Yeah.
Okay. You do that stuff?
Unfortunately, yeah. I gotta end that because it helps me get up. Coffee doesn't do it. I think energy drinks do it for me. But my parents have said you gotta stop. You gotta stop.
What is your current Monster Energy, or what is your current energy drink intake in a single day?
I would say one a day, and it's usually a Red Bull or a Monster.
Okay. Well, I guess that's not bad. That's not bad.
I've just heard.
Yeah.
I've heard it rots your teeth, but what do I know?
Well, if you brush your teeth and you have a regular teeth, if you have a dental plan on how you take care of yourself morning, noon, and night, you're going to be good. If you're drinking 30 Monsters a day, then yes, you may have a problem. By the way, we are not sponsored by or told to stop talking about Monster. But yeah, I've never been able to get into that stuff. It tastes like sugary low grade gasoline to me. So I just always stayed away from that stuff. But I'm glad you're here today, as always. But I'm glad you're here because you are a younger folk. You are 22.
Correct.
And what I want to talk about this morning, senior producer Tucker brought this up. I thought it was a really good idea, and this is a bigger conversation I want to have, is the fact that in the past year, 2025 to now, we've seen a lot of moves towards the erasure of our history. There's a lot of people out there who say things like, why do we have to talk about the bad stuff? What's all in the past? What's in the past is in the past. You can't get rid of it. It's part of our culture. It's part of our history. And what we're seeing now is real examples of this erasure. It's not just people not wanting to talk about it, invoking the holy orders of, we don't talk about sex, politics, religion, or money, which I think is a horrible thing to live your life by, because I think when you talk about those topics, that's important. Those things are important. You don't have to talk about them all the time, but you definitely need to bring these up to have good discussions with folks, whether it's your family or friends. But point is, we are seeing from from the White House, the Trump administration, actual moves to erase history from this country by way of getting rid of monuments, getting rid of placards, getting rid of flags. And we have a few examples, but this is being spurred by the article in Axios. Avery Lotz has the byline, "Pride flag removed from Stonewall Monument." The New York City Council members are demanding answers after a pride flag was removed from New York's Stonewall National Monument, the birthplace of the modern queer rights movement. If you don't know what Stonewall is, very simply, in 1969, there was a mass protest, some would call a riot, where folks inside the iconic world legendary Stonewall Inn decided to no longer take it. And they rebelled against the police, because in those days, you could be arrested for simply being in a bar if you were queer, gay, however you identified at that point. So Stonewall has become an epicenter in this country and throughout the world for people to visit. I've been there. It's absolutely amazing. The bar's still there. And there's a monument and a flag. The flag was removed from the monument, and people want to know why. And there have been moves by, I know in Wisconsin, to only allow us to fly the American flag and no other flags. This is in response to the BLM movement. But these are movements towards the erasure of histories, of moments in our history that are very important. They inconvenience others, but that shouldn't matter. As folks on their side have said, and their side, my side, it's not a side. I'm sorry. I don't want to say that. Folks who advocate for the erasure of history through patriotism and things of that nature want to say things like, we are all Americans. That's in the past. And they also like to say facts over feelings. Well, the fact is that your feelings are hurt by a flag. Too bad. Deal with it. Move on. There's a lot of things I see, I take in that I don't like, and I move on. I turn it off. I look away. I don't pay attention to. I just do not. It's not my jam. It's fine. But this is not good. This is a monument that recognizes one of the most important moments. I would say it's an important moment in American history. Period. It's not. It is probably the most important moment in queer history, but it is one of the most important moments in American history. And the fact that they're slowly trying to silence it by taking away flags. Next thing you know, it could be the monument. That is speculation. They haven't done that, but they said that they were doing it because of a government-wide guidance requiring only U.S. flags and other congressionally or departmentally authorized flags to fly on NPS National Park managed flagpoles with limited exceptions. So that is something they've been trying to do, is saying anything that's not by their standard is no longer good. So get rid of the pride flag because that's not authorized. Why do I bring all this up? Is because this is just the tip of the iceberg of things we've seen throughout this country, where we're trying to erase parts of our culture that some find inconvenient or fly in the face of what they believe our history is about. And the reason, Dom, I wanted you to be part of the conversation is because I said you are a 22-year-old male, and what I want to talk to you about in a little bit, so I want you to think about this, is, in your life, school, experiences, family, friends, taking in history, taught versus not taught, and reality versus what you've been told. So example, like, Columbus discovered America. We all know he didn't. And I guess that's the question I want to pose to everyone out there, is how important is it to you personally to know the real historical points of this country? How does it inform your being, your everyday actions, how you interact with people, knowing that some folks went through certain things versus others? I think that's very important to build yourself up as a complete person, is an understanding of your history, whether it's your family, cultural, state, nation, world history. Because when we do things like this, when we take small pieces away, we are slowly erasing that. And in probably in my opinion, it's just me, one of the most dangerous ways possible, which is by those slow removals that constant reminder then. When we lose those constant reminders, we think about other things. I'm not saying that people have to go to the Stonewall Monument, stand there for hours, bow their head, and do something. I'm just saying walking past that monument, seeing those flags, seeing those reminders of not only of tough or terrible times in this country, but when you see a monument like that and you see a flag like that, the fact that from those tough and terrible times, we found light and we found truth and we found what I believe, and this sounds very dramatic, but I believe it's true. We found what is the best parts of this country is America, the melting pot, the all in together. Bring us your tired, poor, and huddled masses. That's what I believe personally. When you remove these small pieces, the flags, the monuments, the changing names of schools or military bases, when you do those things, you take away those constant reminders, and then they slowly erase from your memory. Because we're busy people. We got things to do. You got, like, you're listening to me right now, and I appreciate you being on air, you being on the show with me, sharing your time, but you're also thinking about going to the grocery store, picking up the kids. What are we doing this weekend? How do I get out of that thing later that I don't want to go to? You got things going on. So it's not a matter of people being like, the folks who don't remember aren't bad people. It's just that, I don't know. I'm getting a little turned around here. It's because I feel very strongly about it. And I really appreciate Tucker for bringing this up, because I think this is something that we're not really talking about on a regular basis. It's the fact that when we take away those reminders of where we come from, we forget about them. And then we have to come back and be, oh yeah. And then we find out new information, and we don't continue to have this conversation, which is the warts and all of this country. So we're going to talk about some more examples going through this first hour. I invite people to call up. I invite people to put a comment on the live stream. I invite people to text in. I want to know your thoughts on these stories where you see important points of history being taken away because we have a group of people in Washington who are threatened by our true actual history. They don't see it as a chance to grow. They don't see it as a chance to learn. They don't see it as a chance to weirdly be proud of where we are now versus where we are then. And not weirdly, it's we should have a pride in how far we've come. We have a lot more work to do, but this erasing from as a way of propping up the strength of America is incorrect. We can't be strong with a weak foundation, and doing this only makes us weaker. So call, text, leave a comment on the live stream. Love to hear from you. 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Leave that comment on the live stream. We are Facebook, YouTube, and the platform we still call Twitter. We still got a lot of show ahead. Pete Schwaba in the 10 o'clock hour, so don't go anywhere. You are listening to Civic Media Mid-Mornings right here on the Civic Media Network. My name is Greg Bach. Go grab some water. Stay hydrated. Put down the energy drink. Wow. Sorry, buddy. Grab some snacks. Come on back. Let's have a talk. Stay tuned. Stay close.
But wherever you are, I hope that road leads you home again to the world you want to live in, to a world you want to live
You said you have that sound clip for the measles?
I do,
know.
yes. I have one sound clip, about 30 seconds.
Okay, I don't. Hold on here. Okay. Yeah, hold on to that one. I don't know if we'll get to that one today, but
No worries.
Keep that one close.
Okay.
Welcome back to Civic Media Mid-Mornings here on the Civic Media Radio Network. My name is Greg Bach, your host, your buddy, your pal, your believer in all things remembering the past and owning up to it all. We are here on the Civic Media Network. We are here with producer Dom in Madison. I am in Radio Park here in Racine. You can always be part of the conversation. 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Leave a comment on the live stream. We are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform we still call Twitter. Still lots of great discussion ahead, including a talk with my buddy Pete Schwab, host of Nightlight here on the network. They are on from 5 to 8 every single night. We're going to be talking about he sent me a bevy of things. He sent me a bevy of things. Like he's going to be talking at a film festival. He's going to be heading up a celebration of the Comedy Cafe. I mean, there's going to be a lot to discuss. Maybe even talking about thrifting. We'll see what happens. But you can be part of that conversation now or later. But you're here with us, and we appreciate you. And we are talking about the attempted erasures of history from the Trump administration, and we've kicked it off with a story out of Axios discussing the removal of a pride flag from the Stonewall Monument in New York City. New York City, Stonewall, the epicenter of the queer rights movement. Simple, to the point. And they got rid of the flag. They haven't gotten rid of the monument, but they got rid of the flag because, according to national parks, they said that there's a government-wide guidance requiring, quote, only the U.S. flag and other congressionally or departmentally authorized flags fly on NPS, National Park Service, managed flagpoles with limited exceptions. They did not say when the flag was removed. The Interior Department did not immediately respond to the request for comment. But the city council is very upset about this, being called an outrage by the Manhattan Borough President, Brad Holman Sigel. Sorry, I've got that name wrong. It's an outrage amongst another outrage because we know that this administration seems very comfortable with in attacking religious, ethnic, and other minorities, including the LGBTQ population. And I mentioned earlier about Wisconsin and our flags, and I wanted to give some context and some details to that. Last year, they put forth AB 58, which would generally prohibit the display of any flag other than the U.S. flag or state of Wisconsin flag from being flown, hung, or otherwise displayed from the exterior of any governmental building. And the ACLU has gotten involved. There are many people on, this vote came down on party lines. They said it was a nonpartisan bill. That is, it got voted on party lines. So I don't believe that for a second. They said our goal with this nonpartisan bill is to ensure that our schools and government institutions remain above partisan politics, because they think flying a pride flag during Pride Month is partisan politics. But this is just simply, once again, the slow erasure of folks from our history books, so we don't have to, need to, or for some want to think about them. This isn't the only example going on in Philadelphia. This is from AP. Philadelphia sues over removal of slavery exhibition at Independence National Historic Park. This one I heard about, and we never got a chance to talk about. There was a lot of upset folks, a lot of angry folks. This happened last month, where basically, without any sort of discussion, the removal of these exhibits were just taken down. So basically, they said that empty bolt holes and shadows are the only thing remaining on the brick walls, where explanatory panels were displayed at the president's house site where George and Martha Washington lived with the people they owned as property when Philadelphia was the nation's capital. One woman cried silently in absence. Someone left a bouquet of flowers. A hand letter signed said slavery was real. These were big plates put on these walls showing the history of slavery in this country, the history of the Washingtons as enslavers. It gave a real deep dive history into what went on in Philadelphia and the colonies in those days. And it was removed by the order of the White House, because this does not fit in line with, what do they call it here? Philadelphia. They are trying. It's part of the executive order, restoring truth and sanity to our American history. I'm going to read that again. The removal of this exhibit was to, quote, restore truth and sanity to American history. And that is actually right here on the website, the whitehouse.gov website, ordered as of last March, restoring truth and sanity to American history. This is something they are using to whitewash, erase our history here in this country. And I would love to hear from you. Dom, we're going to talk about a little bit, you and I are going to talk a little bit more about it on the other side of the break. But I want to hear from you, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Leave a comment on the live stream. We are here with you until 11 a.m. We got Pete Schwaba coming up after the 10 o'clock news. We want to know your thoughts on these small, not so nonchalant. These are very, very intentional things being masked by the mission of patriotism, bringing us together. I don't know how that does this, but really what they want to do is they want to erase the struggle, the history, and the quote unquote complaints of folks who just think that knowing our history, where we come from, is important, and it absolutely is. But we'll talk more about that on the other side of the news. Don't go anywhere. You are listening to Civic Media Mid-Mornings here. My name is Greg Bach. I'm your host, your buddy, your pal. Don't go anywhere. Grab some water. Grab some snacks. Hey, if you need an energy drink, grab an energy drink. I'm fine with that. You're an adult. Live your life. But don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Stay close. Hey, Dom.
That's me.
That's you. That's you. It's and Tucker has entered the stage. He's not here.
He has.
He's listening to us right now on the Secret Show. You're all set for today then? Later today, 2:00?
Yes, I am. Let's get it going. Yeah, yeah. We have a pre-record for sure.
Can you and I meet back here in the StreamYard, say around like 1:40, 1:45, just to chat about what I'm looking to do with this interview and how I want it to be structured for how we can replay it?
Yes, absolutely. That was actually going to be my question. Is
Perfect.
what day we would want to replay it.
It'll be on Friday, and
Okay.
but let's not name the person though, because we want people on the live stream. Like, what are they talking about? Oh, you just got to find out. Ooh,
I know. That's why I
yeah.
stopped myself.
Yeah. We'll do it on Friday, and we have a set time with this person. So we will I have an idea in my head of how I want it structured, so we can
Okay.
play it over 2 segments instead of just over one full, and kind of, I like doing, for these types of things, I like doing live intros and outros, so
Let's
it
do
feels
Yeah.
fresh instead of just like you're listening to the thing. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and that's
And
what I'm used to too. So that's perfect. That is.
And then if you can create a graphic for the StreamYard with this
Mhm.
person's picture and everything, just so they know who we're talking to.
Yeah.
It's playing. Great. Real secret show live stream excitement, folks, for you listening. I'm happy you're here. No, seriously though, we are always happy that you're joining us on the live stream. I'd love to know your thoughts on what we're talking about on the slow erasure of the so weird how to refer to it, but like, the struggles, the things of that nature. Whether we're talking about the enslavement of folks, we're talking about the queer revolution, that movement. Whether we're talking about anything, all of that.
It is. Yeah, it is the erasure of history. It's
Yes.
what it is. It's exactly right.
I'd love to know what you folks think about that. Let us know on the live stream. Whether you are on Facebook or YouTube. I know that with X, it's hard to put Twitter. It's hard to put comments on there because we can't see them.
Yep.
But we'd love to hear from all of you on this. And again, we just thank you for your time. We hope you're doing well.
Absolutely.
And also, you mentioned something about the weather. It's fine. I don't know what it's like there. It's 28 degrees. That's nearly 12 degrees cooler than yesterday. No bueno.
What is it for?
But next week is supposed to be in the mid to upper. Oh my God, we're supposed to get 50s. Oh my goodness.
That's what I'm saying. Sunday, it's supposed to be 51. The high is supposed. Oh yeah, the whole week. Actually, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, it is 26, but it's still sunny. You know what I mean? It's
You're
better
right,
than.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. It's better than a kick in the teeth. It's better than 60 below zero. So.
Yep.
All right,
rainy
cool.
Or anything. Sweet.
Yeah. Welcome back to Civic Media Mid-Mornings here on the Civic Media Network. My name is Greg Bach. I'm your host, your buddy, your pal, your confidant. Your secret's safe with me. We are here on the big show. We are here until 11. We got a lot to talk about, including our discussion with Pete Schwaba. He is the host of Nightlight, which is right here on the Civic Media Network from 5 to 8. You can always check that out. If you miss an episode, you can go to civicmedia.us/shows. Find the show you want to listen to, download episodes, listen to it anytime, anywhere. You can also listen to us live if you don't have a radio by getting the Civic Media app in your life. This app is very, very purposeful. Here's what you can do with it. You can listen to our talk stations. You can listen to our music stations. You can call, text. You can leave a voice note, I should say, not a voice message, not like an answering service. Leave a voice note. We will listen to it. If it's in context and FCC compliant, we'll play it on the air. You don't even have to like me to do it. Trust me, I have proof. You can also get your news there, customize it to where you are in the world and where you are in the region, what you want to learn about, but it's all there with the Civic Media app. Download it to your phone or to your device or to your tablet, however you want to get that app. Remember, it's absolutely free. So we've been talking about for the first half hour of the show about a story that came out of Axios regarding the removal of a pride flag at the Stonewall Monument in New York. The Stonewall Monument, New York City, the epicenter of the queer rights movement. This is, quote unquote, in line with a guidance from the government that requires only U.S. flags and other congressionally or departmentally authorized flags to be flown on national park services. We also discussed the fact that Wisconsin last year was pushing a proposal that would only allow, and I believe it went through, would only allow flags, American flags and the Wisconsin flag to be flown at the state capitol. No flags celebrating other cultures, no flags celebrating. And this was a direct response to pride flags and the BLM flags, which if I'm not mistaken, I don't think the BLM flag ever flew at the Capitol, but you got to create that solution before it actually becomes a problem, my friends. Always got to do that. It's very, very important. And then earlier this year, last month, I should say, there was a story that came out of Philadelphia where a display showing the depths at which the slavery movement went in Philadelphia, the colonies with the Washingtons at Independence Hall Park. That was taken down out of nowhere and was with no save from the government to the local government. It was taken down. There was videos. I saw it. It was taken down, taken away. So this display is gone. And this is all just in an attempt to erase our history little by little, slowly, methodically, purposefully, not in a way that folks who go to visit Independence Park, when they don't see it, they don't know it. So they don't get to learn about it. Doesn't make them good or bad. It just means they're not getting the opportunity. Or say at the monument, at the Stonewall Monument, when you don't see that pride flag, it can drift out of your memory if it's not front of mind you. For folks who are queer, like myself, that's important. Very, very important reminders. I'm always thinking about that stuff. More so for my friends who are really out in the world and really trying to live their lives without being harmed. But this is methodical, this is purposeful, and this is anti-American, in my opinion. This is anti-democracy. This is anti-everything we should be standing for. And I've been talking about this for a while, and I wanted to bring Dom into the discussion because, Dom, you and I are of very differing ages. I am 48. You are 22. You grew up in a very different time, much more digitally connected. Do you remember a time at all not having the internet or even cell phones or tablets in your life?
Not at all. I don't remember that at all. I
Okay.
mean, I've had a tablet ever since I was probably like 7, 6.
Okay.
So
that access to information, and also, and this also has to do with your upbringing with your parents. And I'm not bringing into question their performance. This isn't a job review, but you have a different way. You've had a different way of getting information than I have, versus with regard to our history. Not impossible for me to do that, but growing up, if I wanted to deep dive into the real history beyond the textbooks, there was a lot of research, libraries involved, things like that. For you, what do you see this as a young person in America, in Wisconsin, when you see things like this? How do you feel about it?
it's I was looking at some of these articles that you put in the show notes, and it's, as a young person,
Mm-hmm.
it sometimes you feel like it's a little above you,
Yeah.
like you don't want to talk about it, and I think as a young person you kind of just have to learn and take in constructive criticism and learning about certain things differently than older people, and that is just maybe participating in discussions like what I'm doing right now, and trying to learn more about the world. Because honestly, as someone who's 22, I feel like sometimes I don't really have a say in certain things, like this discussion right here. But
yeah.
I mean, I don't really know what I'm saying, but overall, I think that these historical parts of history that are being erased isn't something that should be taken for granted. And I feel like some young people that I talk to don't really care about it and don't really talk about it.
Interesting.
And yeah, especially you were talking about social media and media in general, how we grow up a little bit differently. I get all of my stuff on TikTok,
Yes.
Instagram Reels, stuff that isn't super credible.
That's where I beg. I don't know if I want to beg to differ, Dom. I apologize for interrupting you, but I feel like your ability to go to a place like TikTok or Instagram, or a place that has these independent artists and creators deep diving history and presenting to you unvarnished truths about our history, you've had the ability to access that so much easier. So also for me, I'm wondering, I feel like I spent a great deal of my late 20s, 30s, and onto today where I know about a topic, and then I hear, oh, did you know that this thing actually was because of this, this, and this? And you're like, oh, because in my high school we weren't taught that, or because we didn't have TikTok, we didn't have that. So one, you absolutely have agency to talk about this. It's not above you. This is your history too. And you are, I hate to use the phrase, you are our future, and you should have a stake in the conversation. So anyone who tells you not to, no. Anyone me and older, no. We don't get to tell you what you can and can do or think. But also just that the fact that you can go to your phone and you can find information, and this is from the credible people. You know, I understand there's a lot of non-credible things out there, but when you see the history lessons you've gotten have been invaluable through this thing you've always had in your hand, whereas I feel like I'm constantly learning new things because I just wasn't taught them in high school. We never, ever talked about it. And things that I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. There are other folks saying, yeah, we've known it for a while. We've been talking about it and no one's been listening. But now we have this leveling tool, which is social media. And how you take it in has got to be very different than how I take it in.
You're 100% right. And I think, again, accessing certain stuff is easier. You're 100% right. I do think that I feel like I've been having to deep dive into information more and more because, like you said, there is AI nowadays, and there's certain things that, even though I do have access, if a phone is right in front of my hand, I can easily just take a look at it and see what information is being told to me. But I feel like I have to go more deeper than that, especially when it goes to TikTok or Instagram and certain things like that. I even though I know I have all that information, I don't know 100% if that information is correct. Yeah. And that's why I feel like, you know, growing up, I feel like I've been having to take more information and do more deep dives and asking the good questions, rather than just saying, okay, yeah, this is 100% credible and it's ready to go.
Yeah. I mean, and then that opens up a wider conversation too. Of course, we had it before and we keep on having it, is the validity of social media as a tool of learning. How do you suss out the good information versus the bad information? Who's credible versus not credible? And I think that for me, like when we talk about this, you know, especially when it comes to the exhibit, these 34 panels in Philadelphia that were just removed, you know, when they're literally erasing this exhibit away from that park, where then do people, because I mean, for me, like, you go there, you're seeing it, and then you're faced with these panels, and they're truthful, and they are not fun to read, and you have to do a lot of reflection, I believe. And one of the questions I know that we're looking at the plan document for this morning, Tucker put on there and said, was how important was knowing information. I want to get this because it was a very good question. It says, you know, how do you feel, you know, do I have an anecdote about the history that I've learned? How do you feel that you know about it? What does it mean to know more details? Is history changed or biased by giving these details? And I think for me, when it comes to knowing the truth, whether you see it on these panels, whether you see it in a flag, whether you go to a museum like the Civil Rights Museum in Memphis at the Lorraine Hotel, I think I'm unbiased then. I think when you become more unbiased when you know about this history, because you take in the experiences of those who've come before you and those experiences and how they affect the people around you. And you learn to say to yourself, it's not all about me. It's not about my comfort. And that's what these measures seek to do. They seek to raise the comfort levels of folks who don't want to talk about it, who think it's, quote, not a big deal, to folks who say, well, just get over it. People who don't want to reckon with our past and have the absolute privilege of living in a world where that history does not affect them. They say to us, well, it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't speak of our country in a good light. Again, facts don't care about feelings. You don't like it, don't go to the monument. Don't go to the museums. Don't do the thing. Sit home and watch whatever confirms your bias. You're going to do that anyways. I'm not telling you, I'm not giving you instructions. But in the question that Tucker asked to me, what does it mean to know more details? Is history changed or biased by giving these details? I think history is biased when you erase the details, when you erase the history, when you take it away, when you do not allow folks to take in all good information, credible information based on history, science, and the otherwise, you create bias. You let go of your bias, you let go of yourself when you allow self-reflection upon information and say, yes, I know for 99% fact, nobody in my family ever owned people. We never participated in that trade. That doesn't alleviate me from the responsibility of A, knowing that history, and B, letting that history affect my everyday life and how I treat others, how I take in information from others, and how I understand that a lady sitting across from me has a far different experience based on that history affecting her grandmother, her mom, her. I think history changes for the better. I don't think history changes. History is history. Our understanding changes. Our movements change. Our policies change. That's what's different about it. And you let go of that bias. And I think that's very, very important. And I think from what I'm hearing from Dom, it's not an easier task because they're younger, because they have more technology. You still have to do the diving. You still have to do the research. But you also do have to do work on yourself as well. This is just about self-care as it is for the care of our communities, whether we're talking about state, local, or federal, or the world. I think we become less biased when we know the real history, and these movements seek to limit our access to that history. So more coming up after the break. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Civic Media Mid-Mornings here on Civic Media. My name is Greg Bach. Stay tuned. Stay close. Don't think or ever let anyone tell you you can't talk about something or have an opinion. Don't let anyone ever tell you you're too young to understand. Don't ever let anyone open up a statement against you by saying, well, back in my day.
Yeah,
and to me, that loses all credibility.
And that's the thing. I feel like I hear that a lot, you know, and I know it doesn't, I don't let it bother me or anything, but it is kind of apparent, at least in my personal experience. I haven't really asked any other younger people around my age about the same question, but I feel like that does happen a lot more than I think.
It happens all the time because it happened to me. It happened to my dad. It happened to my grandpa. The older generations always tell you you don't know anything because you haven't lived. Granted, you don't have as much experience. That's fine. Understand that. You don't know everything because you're young. You'll learn more every single year of your life. But do not allow someone to weaponize their age or their experience to make you feel small or that you should be quiet. That is somebody who that's somebody who probably had that done to them, and it's the cycle to break. And I do not accept that. And it's a lot of self-policing too, where I'm like sitting here trying not to be the old man shaking his fist at the sky.
No, yeah, so, I do. I really do appreciate that, though. I really, really do. Those words don't go unnoticed. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Welcome back to Civic Media Mid-Mornings here on the Civic Media Radio Network. My name is Greg Bach, your host, your buddy, your pal. All those things for you, I promise you that much. You are here with us today. We have a great show for you lined up. Don't go anywhere. After the 10 o'clock news, Pete Schwaba, the host of Nightlight with Pete Schwaba, will be here talking all things entertainment, comedy, film. I always love talking to him. It's always a great time. And let us know. Are you going to go see a movie? Might be talking about the Oscars. You've seen all the Oscar movies. Got any contenders? You got big hopes? Do you have an unofficial, not gambling pool at the office? I don't want to get in any trouble for the Oscars, but yeah, let us know. Call or text 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Leave a comment on the live stream. We are on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform we still call Twitter. And then, we're having a conversation here about movements by the Trump administration to erase, whether it's flags, monuments, things of that nature from our parks that give a detailed, accurate, but truthful look at our history in this country, warts and all. Whether we're removing pride flags from monuments, whether we're taking down a 34-panel display talking about about slavery. I wanted to make two things really. I'm going to make 2 points before we went on though. And first, I wanted to read this too here. Roger in Stevens Point listening in. He said, "When I was 7 or 8 years old in 1973 or 74, my parents purchased the World Book encyclopedias. The history in those books were more objective than what most school books are today. Because back then they're just printing the information as they see fit. But I would venture to say if you put out the exact same version with the exact same mission, I think it would be even different because we learn more, we know more, and we." But yeah, there was a professorial viewpoint because we had those kinds of books in my house too. Very, very useful in school projects. But two things I wanted to make clear too. One is this isn't new, by the way. Erasure isn't new. This isn't something that we're just seeing out of nowhere. This has been going on for hundreds of years. Another point that was brought up in our plan doc in the discussion was the erasure of indigenous folks, their history, monuments, being suppressed, being moved. It's, I believe, you want to talk to someone from the native population. I'm sure they have a lot of thoughts. I'd be interested in hearing young people because they grew up in it. Older folks maybe have different opinions on it, but this is nothing new. It's just now boldface without any sort of remorse. And it's being wrapped up in this executive order that was put out last year called Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History, which really just seeks to rewrite it, whitewash it, erase it at all costs because it just doesn't fit their narrative. It makes them feel uncomfortable. Ron is on the line right now. He's calling in from Milwaukee. Ron, good morning. How are you today?
Hi, Greg. Great, actually. I am great. I'm really aghast at all the stuff they're doing to kind of erase Black history and minority history. But here's one thing that I have a question, and it's not been answered. At least I haven't heard any news stories or other reports about this. Maybe I'll go do a heavy search today when I get home. But what about the relatively new African American Museum in Washington? I've been looking forward to getting back to D.C. in cherry blossom time and finally going through that place. It looks fantastic. Have they removed things? How could they not? What would they replace the African American exhibits with? Would they just shut the place down? I don't think they're that stupid. But do you have any information or thoughts about that?
I have heard nothing about that. It is a Smithsonian. I'm looking it up right now as we're talking. I've seen nothing about it. I have a feeling at this point I would have seen a story. It says here, let me see here. There's Philadelphia, Smith. As far as I see right now, nothing major. There was removal of artifacts that we talked about a couple of months ago. And I'm glad you brought that up, Ron, because that's the other point I wanted to make is that with America's 250th celebration this year, there will be, of course, museums putting out their exhibits about America. Of course, the Smithsonian, which is usually an independent entity that gets to operate and do their thing and put out the history they see fit that needs to be put out there to allow people to understand, whether we're talking about politics, art, culture, or the horrible moments of this country. But in PBS, on the PBS website last month, they published a story that says Smithsonian pressure to show Trump its plans for exhibits for America's 250th birthday. So, Ron, I would be on the lookout for things like that. I would really be vigilant. So far, nothing with the actual museum itself, but I wouldn't be surprised if there were plans or suggestions or demands. But we already know now that the Smithsonian and all of their museums will be pressured to show Trump their plans on how they want to show America on its 250th birthday. And they will have opinions, and they will probably tell them what they can and can't do and threaten funding against them. So that's something, Ron, I want you to keep your eye on. We will keep our eye on that. When we talk about our country, 250 years, it's warts and all. Facts don't care about your feelings. We need to know our history. Our kids need to know the history. And that's how we become better, less biased, more inclusive. There's a scary word, but we mean to be more inclusive. But it's by things like the Smithsonian, this display in New York, and this display in Philadelphia that we know more, know better, and understand each other's struggles. And by doing this, by erasing it, by removing it, we make ourselves weaker. We make ourselves worse off for the wear, and our kids learn nothing. So, that being said, we're going to go take a break really quick. We're going to come back fully hydrated, full of snacks, with our guest, Mr. Pete Schwaba. He is the host of Nightlight here on Civic Media. Don't go anywhere. We'll be here. You should be here as well. 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Leave a comment on that live stream, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful, it's Wednesday morning. Talk to you soon, friends. Stay tuned. Stay close.
Hello, Pete.
Hey guys, how are we?
Go for
Pretty
Pete
good.
Schwaba.
Go for Schwaba.
Let me go
All
next
right.
one.
Peter, are you on the laptop right now?
I am.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, perfect. Okay, I wanted you to bring it up just a little bit because I wanted to see your whole head. There we go.
Beautiful.
Sometimes that light on the ceiling, if I go close enough, it looks like part of my head.
You look like an angel.
Like a Martian, yeah. Which is what I'm going for. I had a guest last week who sat in the lobby, and we're like, where the hell is he? And he's like, I don't know what to tell you. I've been here for half an hour. And then we're like, you got to scroll up and click the enter the studio. Because he saw himself on the picture, but he just never actually entered the studio.
Was it a stand-up comedian?
Yeah.
Yep, that sounds about right. That
It checks out.
sounds- Checks out totally. Yep.
So I'm just talking like a dope for 20 minutes.
That's weird. Okay. All right, we come back in 2.5 minutes.
Yep.
We'll kick it off. We'll put you back in the waiting room. I'm going to reset the show, introduce you properly.
You got it. Take your time.
We'll have a good talk about all these things. We'll kick it off. Let's kick it off with just Oscar stuff. We can talk about Oscar stuff, and then we'll go from there. And then I do want to talk about this Door County Film Festival,
Okay.
and we'll see how that goes. And we got you for a while too, so it'll be a good conversation.
Yeah, whatever you want, buddy. I got nothing, so fire away.
Okay, all right. We'll talk to you in a little bit, my friend.
Okay, guys.
I used to think that this was my town. What a stupid thing to think. I hear you biting off a break
Welcome back
down.
to Civic Media Mid-Mornings here on the Civic Media Radio Network. My name is Greg Bach, your host, your buddy, your pal, your believer in all things art, history, because the two are intertwined. You can be part of the conversation by calling or texting 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Leave a comment on that live stream. We are currently streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform we still call Twitter. Still ahead. Lots of great conversation in this second hour. We're here with you until 11. And I thought, what better way to have we're talking all things entertainment. And I think we're going to talk about how entertainment informs the wider public, you know, how we turn maybe to, whether it's comedians, artists, creators, what they are doing to impact our basic experience in this world. But I wanted to bring on a friend and someone who's in the world of entertainment, in the world of performance, writer, director, actor, comedian, host of Nightlight here on Civic Media. Mr. Pete Schwaba is our guest this morning. Good morning, Pete. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Greg. How are you? I'm doing great, thanks.
Great, excellent, wonderful. Now you are the host of Nightlight. It's on from 5 to 8 every Monday through Friday here on the Civic Media Network, and it's like what you guys talk about. It's like we talk about a lot of things going on in entertainment, but I think the great thing I love about it is that it's not just like Entertainment Tonight where it's a surfacey view of it. You're talking to directors, writers, actors, producers, authors, and you are almost all of those things yourself. You are a performer, you are a writer, and you know, what is your history in that, like as far as like project you worked on, why you're here in Wisconsin again? I know you've talked about this before, but I want people to get to know who you are. So a little history on Mr. Pete Schwaba.
Yeah, I started doing stand-up comedy when I was 20 years old. I was at DePaul University, became a touring comedian, and back then, you know, you're a comedian too. I'm sure you know what this is like, Greg, but back then it was during a comedy boom.
Yes.
And I started working probably before I was ready. It was the early 90s, and there was all kinds of TV shows to be on, and my bar was not like to be famous or whatever. I just wanted to be on Evening at the Improv.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember that show. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I remember sitting in our family room in Marinette, Wisconsin, and they used to do these little vignettes outside the club in between sets. And in one, like it was Rick Overton, Robin Williams, and a couple other guys hanging out talking, and they would film that for like a minute. And they're laughing, and it's out on Melrose Street. And I was like, man, how great would that be just to be one of those guys, you know?
Yeah.
So I started doing stand-up comedy and had a pretty good run. I was only a comedian for like 8 years, but got on TV a bunch and toured, and I had a ball in my 20s, and I got to be on Evening at the Improv. It was one of the last shows that they recorded.
Pete Schwaba canceled Evening at the Improv.
Welcome to the Circling the Drain episode of Evening at the Improv. It was like there was like 16 people in the audience.
Man.
It wasn't even at Melrose. It was like at the Santa Monica Improv, and Twiggy was the host, so that was kind of cool. But like, it was just, it was bad. But anyway, that was my goal. I did it, and it was really fun. And then I segued into writing, and got lucky and sold some stuff. And only one of, you know, there were movie scripts, and only one got made called A Guy Thing. So I don't know if the others will ever get made or not, but you know, it was interesting. And then I've done some hosting. After about 14 years in LA, my wife and I just decided, you know, I was working on this show called Sports Soup, and it was a blast. I got to sit in a room with like these other funny people and watch sports and write jokes.
Yeah.
And it lasted for, I think, a little over 2 years. And when that canceled, we're like, you know, I can write movies from Wisconsin. My kids were, you know, still in grade school. And my wife and I have this situation where both of our parents lived in Marinette.
Yeah.
Because we're both transplants, and we met, you know, after college and that, and we're like, let's do it. You know, we love going back there at Christmas and the summer, so we just kind of rolled the dice and went to Marinette, Wisconsin. And since I've been here, I'm still writing and occasionally doing stand-up, trying to put projects together, and working at Civic Media with you, dude, and it's awesome.
What is it like to be in LA from Marinette, meet somebody, a woman, and you're like, I'm from Marinette, and she says, me too. What happens in that moment? What kind of spark goes off? You're like, I, at the very least, need to get to know you better, because that is, in LA, almost an impossible gamble.
Okay, so I hope I didn't mislead you, Greg. My wife was a transplant from Marinette. She lived in Marinette, not LA. I didn't know.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, no,
The love story is destroyed. All
so
right.
so the odds are like slim to none. But you know, everyone I met in LA was great wherever they were. There's a lot of transplants, and there's a lot of people from Wisconsin out there and Illinois, so it was fun. It was a blast.
I remember hearing somebody, a friend of mine who lives out there, and she said, yeah, all your friends who move here, they always end up getting good jobs and getting promoted really quickly. I'm like, why is that? Goes, because you guys have a work ethic that a lot of people here in California do not have. You have a very Midwestern, wake up, get the work done. You're done with work, but like we don't see it as it's not a negotiation, and we don't think, well, I showed up, should I get paid? No, you got to actually do something. So right. I thought that was very interesting, and a very big pat on the back for Wisconsin. But speaking about film, as it's still a few weeks away. The Oscars are coming up. Are you the type of person who you want to watch at least the major Oscar films before viewing the award ceremonies, or are you just like, I'll watch the ones I like and we'll go from there? But how invested are you in the Oscars as a thing?
You know, it's interesting. I would say about 10 years ago, Greg, I really got into the Oscars, and I
Really?
yeah, because I mean, I've always watched. I've gone to
Yeah.
parties and stuff like that. It was like the Super Bowl. It's fun to watch with a group. You talk during the commercials, and it's a fun event. But I like it now, whether I'm at a party or not, just because I've really like I've been in show business my whole adult life, but I really see the importance now of it even more in award shows. And people go, "Oh, awards." Yeah, I know it's hard to pick the best film, but I think anything that celebrates the entertainment industry. I've become a huge entertainment industry geek, and I think it's so important, and it brings people together, much like sports. And that's why I wanted to do a show like Nightlight, because movies bring us together. TV shows, music, comedy. It's all a collective experience. And so, yeah, I've really gotten into it. I try to see all the films that are at least nominated for Best Picture, and I really get into it.
We'll talk about Best Picture in a moment, but I want to ask a question based on what you just said. So what is something, you know, when we look at the awards ceremonies, we see glitz, glamour, we see cynicism towards the process itself. When it comes to the entertainment industry, and I'll keep it to like TV and movies, what are the things that you feel should be celebrated more that we as regular folk don't see that would, you know, be exciting?
You know, that's interesting. I would say the craft and the art of it more than the celebrity angle of it. Or, you know, I think like whereas reality TV is all about the players, who are these people? There's no, I mean, there's loose plots. They're basically written, but writers don't get credit. It's all producers trying to do this. I would love to see people get more invested in story and the art and craft of TV or filmmaking, or what it takes to make great music. Like when you think about someone who, I know people who have written great songs, but when you go into a recording studio and you see what a producer can do to the composition of it and to the arrangement of a song and take it to the next level. Like, I don't think people really know what goes into that. You know, when it comes to sports, for example, we see these training videos and behind the scenes and all that. I would love to see more of that for entertainment, because frankly, you know, and you've got kids, Greg, when we put our kids in school, it's, well, the lessons of sports, do all this. And, you know, the same stuff happens when you're in a play or a band. You work together, and it's striving toward a goal. So I would love to see that kind of more of a deep dive into the arts.
First of all, as a point of order, I do not have children.
Oh,
I have a dog, and she's lovely. But
no, I thought your dog was one. I'm sorry, Greg.
She's my daughter. No, I mean, but I understand the point you're making, because I have friends who have kids, and I understand what they go through. I listen to what they go through on a daily basis. You know, I think, you know, if you listen to maybe the right interviews or the right podcasts, you can get an understanding to that, because you listen to directors and producers and actors and writers talk about these films that come out. And yeah, you may see the Super Bowl commercial in February, and you may go see the movie in June, and then it's over for you. But whomever's in charge of that, whether it's, you know, the director who's like a Francis Ford Coppola or whatever, you know, this project has been with them for like 1.5 to 2 years, if not longer. It's been a full-time gig pursuing the creation of this project. And I think something you speak to, Pete, that's very important to talk about is the fraternity, the family of it all, to surround yourself with people who can help foster the idea, who can offer and to create the idea, foster add suggestions, really make it a community of putting out that best piece of art possible. I think that's something that, I think you're right. I don't think people truly understand. They see high-priced dresses, they see awards, they see big, you know, like they made $20 million on this movie. But a lot of these folks are like, I also spent 22 years making this film, so I feel like if anything, I've gotten underpaid. But you know, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. And when we come back after the break, I want to talk about what you've been involved with as far as projects recently, things you want to create, things you've created, you're trying to get off the ground, because you are a writer, you are a producer, you're trying to get your projects out there, and also with the creation of the film. I don't know the official term, but there is now the ability to get tax credits here in Wisconsin to make movies in Wisconsin, and I think that will change the landscape for artists here in the state. But we're going to talk more about that with Pete when we come back. Really quick before we go to the break, as far as best pictures, who do you think is the front runner? Who do you want to win? Or maybe it's like, who do you want to win? Who do you know will win?
Boy, that's a great question. We've talked about this quite a bit on Nightlight. I think my favorite film was One Battle After Another. I thought it had everything. I love it. I loved Sinners 2. I liked One Battle a little more. I kind of want Sinners to win the Oscar because did you see it?
I've not seen Sinners yet. I have to put myself in a place to do that because it's a scary movie and I'm a fwady cat.
There are some moments where you jump, but it's got everything: music, costumes, acting, script. It's different. It's just one of those movies that you smell, like you could see, you could put yourself in the world. And I don't think so. I would love it if that won Best Picture because I think it's very deserving. But honestly, I there's so many good films this year, and One Battle After Another is outstanding.
Yeah. I have yet to see. I'm going to see it before the Oscars. It's just when it comes to movies that are ticking up towards 3 hours, I'm like, all right, I got to make sure I have a Sunday afternoon. I've got nothing else to do. Put my phone down, pay attention, because I think that's important to the art. As what you said, this is a piece of art, and I don't want to sit there scrolling on my phone going, oh, there's guns now. Okay, cool. Leonardo DiCaprio. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, I got to make a phone call. I'll be right back. Pause it. I got to go to the bathroom. Come back. For those films, I feel like you need to give attention, undiverted attention, and I'm going to do that before the Oscars. But we're going to talk more about the Oscars, more about Pete Schwaba's projects with Pete Schwaba. He's the host of Nightlight here on Civic Media, 5 to 8 every Monday through Friday. Be part of the conversation. What do you think about the Oscars? What do you think about Hollywood? What do you think about entertainment? Who do you go for your information? Is it comedians? And why is that maybe a problem? But more coming up after the break. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Stay close.
But wherever you are, I hope that road leads you home again to the world you want to live in. To the world you want to live
All right. We are officially on the secret show right now. It's the secret show in the StreamYard.
But people can hear us, right?
People can hear us and still FCC
Secret
compliant. And still FCC compliant.
Right.
That's what I tell everybody. I had to tell people after the fact a couple times, but we're fine.
I know,
cool.
same.
Yeah, everyone can hear us, so we got to, just
Keep it clean.
don't divulge where the money is buried.
I'm topless, but that doesn't really matter because this is just audio.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly, Pete. No one can see this at all.
No one can see the moobs.
We'll come back. We'll come back, talk more Oscars, and then we'll get into projects you're working on, and then we'll move it into the Door County Festival, and we'll go from there. But
you got it.
We should be good.
You don't want to have a East Coast, West Coast Marinette Kenosha dog, Greg.
Wait, where is Marinette?
Exactly.
No. Sir, I thought it was. You said West Coast. It's
no. It's way up. We're like 50 minutes north of Green Bay, right on the UP border. We're the last town in Wisconsin before everybody goes to buy weed in Menominee.
Noted.
It's crazy. I've been hearing from friends I haven't heard from in 20 years.
How many people live in Marinette?
Well, our population's about 10 or 11,000, but the amount of people who actually live, Greg, I couldn't tell you.
It depends on what your definition of living is, man.
Precisely.
Oh, baby. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I would love to visit Marinette. That sounds very nice. Sounds very peaceful.
That's great. I wasn't joking when I said Kenosha is the town of the future. You guys are like right on Lake Michigan, between Milwaukee and Chicago, and everybody's moving to the Midwest because of climate change. I'm telling you, that area.
Oh, trust me. I've taken into consideration I live 2 miles away from the lake. I know what that will do for property values. That is not lost upon me, friend. Yeah. At all.
That's what we're doing. Like, I can see the water too, same lake, but it's the bay. And my wife is like, well, we're always talking about what should we do? And I'm like, we look at the water every day through the trees.
15 seconds.
All right.
Okay. I got to run, guys. I'll talk to you later.
You know, I'm still standing better than I ever did. Looking like a true survivor, feeling like a little kid. And I'm still standing after
Welcome
all this
back
time.
to Civic Media Mid-Mornings here on the Civic Media Radio Network. My name is Greg Bach, your host, your buddy, your pal, your believer in all things you're wanting to do, whether it's woodworking, painting, fixing a car. I believe in your dreams. And you're with us this morning. We're here with you until 11. You can be part of the conversation, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Leave a comment on the live stream. We are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform we still call Twitter. I'm coming to you live from Radio Park here in Racine. Dom is coming to you from Madison. And our guest, Pete Schwaba, from the Mecca of Metropolitans, Marinette, Wisconsin. Mr. Pete Schwaba is the host of Nightlight here on Civic Media, 5 to 8 every night here. Welcome back. Hey, so Pete, we were talking about the Oscars. We were talking about your thoughts on the best pictures, and you said that it's going to be a one battle after another for these movies. Ha ha ha.
Exactly.
And I agree with you as far as Sinners goes. I want Sinners to win everything, just because I want them to walk away and be like, take that, Variety, take that, Hollywood. Yeah. And so that's where I'm at right now. I'm not as invested. I'm glad Conan is back because I think only Conan should host the Oscars from now on.
Oh, yeah.
But do you have any other thoughts on the Oscars as far as do you think there might be an upset? Do you think there might be something going on there? It could easily be one of those two movies, but don't count this film out because there's good stuff every year.
I've only seen half of them. I've got quite a few films to see before the event, but I loved. This isn't going to win, and there's kind of a bias right now against Netflix, which is sort of deserved. But I really liked Train Dreams, just a movie about a guy's life, and it was really solid. One upset I could see, Greg, is, and first of all, let me say that Sinners and One Battle After Another, I love that they're not franchises. I love that they're not superhero films. Mm-hmm. Those films don't get made as much as they used to, and certainly not comedies. So, and both of those have funny elements, but they're not comedies. But I mean, those kind of movies in general aren't really being churned out by studios anymore, which is, to me, is depressing. But one upset I could see, and I hope it happens, even though I haven't seen Hamnet yet. Jessie Buckley is considered the front runner. It's basically considered a slam dunk for her to win Best Actress. But in Song Sung Blue, Kate Hudson is nominated. She was so good as Claire Sardina. She and Hugh Jackman play the Sardinas, a Milwaukee couple that founded the Neil Diamond tribute band Lightning and Thunder. Hugh Jackman is good, but he's Hugh Jackman. He's put a wig on and he's playing this role. Kate Hudson kind of disappears into the role of Claire, and she is just outstanding. So I would love to see her win.
I love Kate Hudson. I love this story. I remember growing up with this group in my life, and then all of a sudden one day saying they're making a movie about them, and it just
really
nice. I would love to. I would love to see that. I mean, I love Kate Hudson. I feel like she is somebody who, personally, she came on really big back in the early 2000s. She was kind of an America's, much like her mother, and her mother an Oscar winner, and like a lot of actors, they'll have ebbs and flows, but I feel like this is a big point for her. Oscar nomination. If she wins, this is a new avenue for her life. But yeah, I think that would be great. I'd love to see the upsets, especially the movies. Fine, but I love to see when it's the actors who are nominated, the upsets, because that to me says those people who are voting vote maybe with their conscience versus what they thought was popular. And I think going back to what you said before, as far as movies not being a franchise or a comic book movie, which honestly, a lot of those movies don't get nominated anyways, but those are the ones that always get the attention. But I think the fact that there are two films that have original material in it that are being so heavily favored as great films of 2025, I think that speaks volumes of where these film companies can go in the future with what they create.
Boy, that would be something. I would love to see that, because you've got so many, I mean, I've got, not to sound arrogant or anything, I've got scripts sitting on the shelves that will never get made that are people were crazy about when we sold them. I'm like, why aren't those getting? And I'm one guy. The shelves in Hollywood are filled with these movies, but they're making another Transformers or they're making another Avengers or whatever it is. And those movies are great. I got nothing against those movies. But yeah, there are so many stories out there. I don't think, frankly, a lot of people in studio executive positions know what a great movie is, or have a producer they can trust to say, I got to make this, like a Harold Ramis or the Farrelly brothers or whomever. So it'll be interesting to see if this does affect things. I also want to say Michael B. Jordan was great. When I first heard he was playing two characters, I'm like, come on, what, this is like an Eddie Murphy or Robin Williams thing, like where they want to show how. No, he was great. He played twin brothers, Smoke and Stack, and the movie's just so stylistic. I love it. So if he won Best Actor and Kate Hudson won Best Actress, that would be pretty cool.
That would be. I have a feeling that I have a good feeling that Michael B. Jordan might win. I just feel like and honestly, if not this time, he will win one day.
Yeah.
And same with, I mean, whatever Ryan Coogler walks away with, this is just, I mean, he's been around for a while and his movies are fantastic, and he has such a deep love and I say personal stance to the process of making art, along with he and his wife are production partners, that, you know, he's going to be one of those gentlemen who for the next 25, 30 years is going to dominate, because he will make good projects, because I feel like he will make nothing less. He's not going to make a bunch of movies. He's going to say, like, you know, that like Stanley Kubrick thing of like, you only come out with a movie every once in a while, but every time it comes out, you have to see it because it's a Ryan Coogler movie and it's amazing. But I think that this is the beginning for what will be Ryan Coogler's domination of Hollywood.
Yeah, and it's hard to say. Like, you got Coogler and Paul Thomas Anderson. Neither one of them have ever won a Best Directing Oscar, I believe. So they're both deserving. We'll see what happens. It should be fun.
Speaking of projects, scripts on the shelf, we're going to talk more about the things that Pete Schwaba is working on, because he is a writer. He is a director. He does all the things behind the screen, behind the camera, and in front of the camera, including hosting Nightlight from 5 to 8 every night here at Civic Media. But don't go anywhere. We're going to talk more with Pete about movies and movie festivals here on Civic Media Mid-Mornings. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Stay close.
I'm still standing. I'm still standing. I'm still standing.
For those listening on the live stream, we are listening to Pete Schwaba's Moment by Moment at his desk.
Yeah, the audio.
Thank you.
I just turn the camera off when I do cocaine. So.
Whoa!
Are we on?
You turn the camera off? I want the world to know.
Hey, this is early for me, you guys.
Hey, your shirt's off and you do cocaine. I mean,
My goodness, it's just Marinette is wild. Kenosha is nice. We got lovely stuff going on, but man, Marinette, crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, I think Pete froze. Pete's frozen.
Oh,
there he is. There he goes. He's back.
Oh, really?
No, you're good. You're good. You're good now. You're good.
Okay. Because last night I was on Ethernet and I still cut out for a minute.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that's never happened. I've done the show maybe 30 times from home in 2 years and never had that issue. But last night I did, and so I turned on wireless and we made it work. But
you got 10 seconds.
Maybe requesting a hotspot. All right.
You may find yourself living in a shotgun shack.
Welcome back to Civic Media Mid-Mornings here on the Civic Media Network. You are a part of the show. You are sharing time with us, and we'd love to hear from you. 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Leave a comment on the live stream. We are currently streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform we still call Twitter. Lots of great programming still ahead, including Tom Hartman after the 11 o'clock news. And if you ever want to catch up on things, maybe you missed a show, you can go to civicmedia.us/shows, download programs, listen to them when you'd like. You can also get the Civic Media app, listen anywhere in the world. It's absolutely free, but it's a great little app. Whether you want to call, text, you can get in touch with us. You can listen. You can also get your news there. All great, all free. Download it today. Put it on your device of choice. We are talking to my colleague and my friend, Pete Schwaba. He is the host of Nightlight here on Civic Media, 5 to 8, Monday through Friday. Talking to things entertainment. We were talking about the Oscars. We were talking about projects and writing. Pete, you are a writer. You said before, I feel like when you are a stand-up comedian, you de facto are a writer. That's what you can call yourself as well. But you have written films. You said earlier that you have lots of projects that are sitting on a shelf that have been bought. What are you working on now that you are looking forward to maybe putting into production or looking to find interest in creating?
I may have misled you, Greg. I just write letters. I keep up on my correspondence, so I don't know where this...
Okay.
No, pardon me. I have I've got projects in development, but it's funny. Like when you host a radio show where you talk about entertainment every night, I sort of am like, this is easier than writing. Like it's a lot of work building a show and putting a show together every night. But writing is tedious. And right now,
it's lonely too. It's lonely,
especially when you write movies. So it's interesting. My son has become a writer, and we're trying to do a project this summer, a feature film that we hope to enlist utilize the incentives that have recently passed. But yeah, all I can do is at this point with some of the projects I have that I'm trying to see through. There's an independent film. There's a half-hour sitcom. Make phone calls. Where are we at? What's happening? Like the writing is done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm kind of at the point where do I want to start a new script when I've got other things that I'm still trying to push along in the development stage. So, like I said, writing is you're a comedian and it's tedious. It's like a math equation. And I'm not particularly good at math. So.
It's a long haul too. And, the writing is fun, but then when you have to get into the grind of the business, that can be daunting. And you're up against thousands of other people pushing tens of thousands of other ideas. And I understand why sometimes you might say, you know what, I'd rather watch a movie and talk about it on the show than than do another pass on this script. And I think, that's something too, is like the process of it all for you. Do you have a process? Do you just have an idea, or do you sit down on a day and go, I'm writing today. I'm going to write down every idea. Nothing's bad. Everything can be made into something. Or do you have to find that spark of inspiration?
I think that's what you have to do. You have to force yourself to do it because it's like leaving the gym. You never go,
Mhm.
oh, I'm really sorry I did that. It's same thing with writing. When you sit down, typically you at least come up with a shred or a germ of something that you like, even if you
Yeah.
weren't feeling it. And it's a good exercise. But it's interesting. Like I just mentioned, my son, he does these reels on TikTok and
Yeah.
Instagram, and they're getting millions and all these views. And I'm like, he films it, he edits it, and he posts
Yeah.
it within like 2 hours. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I used to think stand up was a fast turnaround. Oh, I thought of a joke while I was at the mall
Yeah.
during the day. I can try this tonight. But some nights you're not working, like it can take a few days.
Yeah.
Writing, especially screenplays, is such an arduous process. Like it could take you months or a year to finish a first draft. Then you get notes, you go back at it. Will it sell? I don't know. And you've already put a year's worth of work into it. And if it sells, will it get made? I don't know. Who knows? It's you really have to love that medium. And I look at what kids these days do with the reels, and some of them are really funny, and
Yeah.
it's like you just get them out there right away. You have instant feedback, which is desirable.
Sometimes the feedback is great. Sometimes you're like, why am I doing? No, nobody likes me. You know, you mentioned before the tax credits that are now in Wisconsin. For folks who don't folks who don't know, I shouldn't say understand. For folks who don't know, certain states in the United States have what's called film registries or film councils, where those states. Best example is Georgia. When they opened up theirs, I mean, basically Marvel lives in Georgia and Australia. And it's such a lucrative industry that Pinewood Studios in England, where all the James Bond movies, it's a legendary movie studio. They have an American store here in Georgia because that's how strong their tax incentive program is. For a long time, Wisconsin didn't have that, but this past year it went through. Talk more about your thoughts on that and how you as an artist are going to utilize those programs to make this process a little more not lucrative, but financially feasible for you.
I think it's interesting. Like, I still don't 100% understand the Wisconsin incentives. I'm so glad we have them because, but I think they're good to have because I think people who are committed to shooting projects in Wisconsin, as am I, will do everything and fight tooth and nail to do them. I made a film years and years ago called The Godfather of Green Bay. There were no incentives. The only incentives we got were favors from people in Marinette or Menominee that just wanted to help, and that goes a long way. But like Georgia did it right. They have a culture now. Like in Wisconsin, I hope we develop a culture, not just to say, come here and make your project and you're eligible for 25% of some type of a return. Sometimes it's in the form of a rebate. Sometimes it's tax incentives. I still don't 100% understand what Wisconsin passed, but I will because there's 2 projects I want to shoot here. But I think you have to foster that culture too. Like I would, and kind of what I said earlier, Greg, I would love to see more music and theater and film taught at a young age, just like these young football clubs or track or whatever. Like get in that same wheelhouse because look, it's cold here 6 months out of the year. There's nothing wrong with some good indoor sports like theater or music or whatever. Let's jam on this and let's instill this in young people in Wisconsin so that the idea of taking away incentives someday will never happen, because I've seen it happen in Michigan. We were close to shooting a project about 8 years ago, and my partner on this project, which we're still trying to get made, lives in Michigan, and they yanked the incentives away. And the reason is, well, we need roads and infrastructure. I'm like, that's not where that money should come from.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to take the film incentive, So in Georgia, that won't happen because they've built a solid foundation to keep this going, and people go there. And now actors are moving to Atlanta instead of LA or New York. So they've done it right. I hope we get that right here in Wisconsin. It hurt me a few years ago to be looking at Minnesota that has very aggressive incentives. They have a state incentive of 25%. Then they have another 20% if you shoot up in the Iron Range. And you can utilize both of them. You're not going to get like a full 45% back, but you could do maybe 35 if you work at the system well. So I would love to see Wisconsin do that. But this is a great start, and I tip my hat to people like Jeffrey Kurz and Nathan Deming and Kirk Krause and a lot of other people who kind of led the way on this. And it's a great start.
Nathan Deming is someone we talked to on the show many times. We talked to get to know about the incentives, and I looked it up really quick. The incentives offer a 30% transferable tax credit on qualifying in-state spending for productions of film here in Wisconsin. And we talked about that before and just after it was passed. And, I think it was either you or Nathan said that filmmakers who refuse to make the movie anywhere but Wisconsin, so they just don't make the movie because it's expensive. And now this offers them the opportunity to create this art. And I think tying back to something you said earlier with regard to the film industry itself and executives, I think if our politicians who are in Madison have discussions with not just creators, not just artists, but people from like producers, the people who work with the bottom lines, the budgets, and say, look, if you do these things, we can do these things, and the state can very much generate profit and revenue. And from an economic standpoint, this makes sense. And I think what you said regarding getting kids into the arts like a sport, I think is very interesting, that we have parents out there who will pour all their money into the chance of maybe their kid becoming an NFL or NBA player when those chances are slim. What's the difference been saying, I want to put my kid into drama, into acting, and this? It's slim, but if we put the work in and they have talent, there's no difference to me about taking a kid and putting them in football camp and putting them in theater camp. If you're doing it and they have the passion, it's the same thing to me and just as legitimate.
I totally agree with you. And I was one of those kids that I played sports and I was in theater. And, you kind of dabble when you're in high school. These kids now that say, or they go to just an arts high school, or they go do football camp, that's a great point. But I will say this, in regard to there's a slim chance. When where we lived in LA, everybody at our school, at the kids' school, probably started out as an actor. Well, there are so many peripheral jobs around the entertainment business that I don't think I certainly didn't realize when we moved to LA. There's truck drivers and carpenters and set designers and special effects people and caterers and makeup and wardrobe. I mean, it is a huge industry. And so I say, go for it. Try out for a play. If you don't get it, my daughter is a actor, and she's in college. If she didn't get a part, she was painting sets. She was helping out any way she could. It's just it's a great community. And I think it's the same way for bands too, or marching bands, whatever there is in high school. But I know that in theater, if you get started, there are a lot of different avenues you can take. Yeah, you're not going to be a famous actor, most likely, but you might have a great experience, and that might lead you to something that makes you a very good living.
Well, and also, I look at it from the point of view as a trade too. Using your daughter as an example, you go out to LA and you say, all right, I'm going to go do some theater, but I'm also going to moonlight doing this. And you work your way up, building trust and relationships. Someone says, hey, I know her. She's great. Bring her on to do this thing. And you say yes to the opportunities. You grind, you sacrifice. You have to, if this is what you want to do. And then also I would say, there's no rule that says you have to be a famous actor. There's no rule that says you have to be, the Brad Pitt A-list $20 million. Was it nice? If that's what you want, then fine, go for it. But there are people out there who make a fine living as character actors, doing smaller films, doing commercials. If acting is what you want to do, then there are ways of doing it out there that allow you the opportunity to make money, to live, to grow and create. But, for me, I mean, at this point in my life, if someone said we could make you into an A-list celebrity, I'd say, no, thank you. Can I make $500,000 a year doing character work and have a small house? Perfect. I'll take it. And then you're living your life and living your dream, and you're free to do the things you want.
Absolutely. I think it was, I think Bill Murray said, what's it like? Or I want to be rich and famous like you. And he's like, try rich. I don't know if you want to be famous. And, I don't know that I ever wanted to be famous. I wanted to be successful. Yes. And if fame followed, great. And I've, been part of some really cool stuff. It's all I could have ever asked for. And you just reach a point where you don't care about that. You just want to be able to make a living doing what you like.
Yep. Speaking about doing what you like, one of the things that you're going to be doing is speaking at a film festival in Door County. We're going to close out the show with Pete Schwaba talking about that. And we're going to have a great time. Don't go anywhere. Be a part of the conversation. 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Comments on the live stream. Love to hear from you talking to Pete Schwaba from Nightlight. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned and stay close. I am not a huge fan of the Rolling Stones. That shouldn't dictate what any music people play, but
Really?
yeah. And what's funny is that anytime I hear Jumping Jack Flash, the first thing I think about is the movie with Whoopi Goldberg.
That's hilarious. The first thing I think of is the movie with Michael Keaton, Night Shift.
Oh,
Night Shift is really good.
That was
God,
like
that movie is so
really
good.
that was
It
like
is
Michael
really good.
Keaton's introduction to the world is him
Yep.
singing Jumpin' Jack Flash. It was like the most amazing thing.
Well, I think one of the great things that people have been talking about since he kind of, I know Birdman got him back in the world, but like I feel like in the past couple years he's been in far more films, and I've seen interviews with folks saying, "You started as a stand-up comedian." He's like, "Yep, I did." He was a stand-up comedian in the late
Yeah.
'70s, and he was really good, and he was fun, and just one of those. I think that was the time back then, and it's still kind of now where you see
Yeah.
comedians doing this, but there are so many more avenues to get back on stage versus like I don't think Steve Martin could ever. I don't think he ever wants to do stand up again, but I don't think he ever will. And I think Eddie Murphy, he had a moment. That documentary that came out this year was supposed to originally be about him going back to doing stand up, but then COVID happened.
Oh, yeah.
But they had this film, so they're like, well, let's just do it now and just talk about your life. But yeah, I mean, I thought he did stand up probably like 3-4 years, and then boom, done. Michael Keaton.
Yeah,
It's-
totally. And he was great. I mean, he was fun. I always thought he was fun. He was a good stand-up, but I always thought he was funnier when he would go do the panel and just talk. Like he's such a
Yeah.
funny guy, just in his bones,
Mhm.
I do stand-up, Greg. I did it the other night. I do it once a year at this football fundraiser here in Marinette, and I bring friends from Chicago or Milwaukee or whatever. This year I had Mike Merrifield and Rob
Yeah.
Brackenridge, who came to co-headline just because they're pals. And I do like 10 minutes to open the show, and I'm terrified. It's like,
Yeah.
when you don't do it regularly and you don't have your stage legs, and I somehow limp through like 10 minutes and I get laughs because whatever, but they know me. But oh man, it's not to be taken lightly for sure.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, I don't disagree with you at all. I forgot what I was gonna say, but it's gone. It doesn't matter. It wasn't important. My brain is a sieve, and
Hey, do you
nothing's
have your new
important.
space?
Yeah,
Or
the
you
new
guys-
space is it's rolling along. There's nothing to
sweet.
report at this moment, but yeah, it's rolling
Okay.
along. It's gone. That's fine.
Well,
It didn't
I have a
matter.
quick question, Greg, before we
Yo.
go live. When was the last time you did stand up?
Pass.
I'm sure it was more recent than me, other than this thing I did 2 weeks ago.
I mean, I did a show at a private event for a wine party somewhere in the middle of the woods. That felt like I was going to get murdered, but whatever. But, yeah, that's for another conversation. All right, we got to.
Okay,
Turns
yeah.
out it was you that did the slaying.
15 seconds.
Jesus just left Chicago and is back for New Orleans.
Welcome back to Civic Media Mid-Mornings here on the Civic Media Radio Network. My name is Greg Bach. I am your host, your buddy, your pal, your believer in all things you and the world around you. You are here with us sharing your time, and I appreciate you. The number is 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Leave a comment on that live stream. We are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform we still call Twitter. After the 11 o'clock news, we're going to have Tom Hartman, and it's going to be a great day ahead. If you ever want to catch up on shows, civicmedia.us/shows. Also get that Civic Media app, put it on your device, and take us wherever you are in the world. And I mean that, in the world. We got text messages from all over the globe. And my goal is to have someone take the Civic Media app up to the International Space Station and be like, not a fan of your material, Greg. Not a fan at all. I don't care what the criticism is. If we're up there, we win. But we're talking to Pete Schwaba, the host of Nightlight. It's on from 5 to 8 every Monday through Friday here on the network. And we've been talking about films, projects, all sorts of great things. The Oscars, we'll be talking more about the Oscars as they approach. But Pete, you are going to be hosting a film festival coming up, or you're doing a keynote speech at a film festival. Tell us more about that and what goes into having that job versus a host. All eyes are on you for your thoughts.
Yeah, I have not been asked to do this very often. I'm giving the keynote speech. As soon as this interview is over, I'm going to Google keynote speech, and figure out what it is I have to say. But they asked me, it's the Door County Film Festival, and it's just this festival that has grown like gangbusters. And why not? Door County is gorgeous.
Yes.
There's a serious arts culture there. I'm not surprised at all that these guys, Kurt Krause, Chris Opper, and Antonio Polk, have elevated this festival. It used to be just shorts. Now they allow feature films as well.
Now they like pants.
Right, well, those are
See what I did there?
optional, which
Comedy.
is also another huge win. But yeah, Friday night I'll be giving a speech to help kick off the festival at 5:30 at the Northern Sky Theater. They got a great venue, and I'll just talk for a few minutes about independent film. I've been hosting a show on PBS Wisconsin for years since I moved back here about independent film called Director's Cut, which has kind of gone away. We still do a couple episodes a year. And I introduce all the POV and independent lens films. But I'm a huge fan of independent film. I think it's a necessary part of society, and it should be celebrated. And anybody who hasn't been to a film festival, I cannot encourage you enough to go and be part of that culture. The films you see will be great. The Q&As with directors and filmmakers and artists are outstanding. I've hosted so many of those over the years, and I learn just as much from them as I do from making a movie. Like watching other people in their craft and doing what they love, and the results of that is really enriching. So I encourage people to check out film festivals, and specifically this weekend, why not the Door County Film Festival? They've got a great lineup, and it's going to be a really good time.
And I think that, someone who I've gone to the Milwaukee Film Festival a few times, I really
Great
enjoyed.
festival.
And when we think of festivals, we always think of the big ones, the big stars, the directors, all the money behind it. But I think that when it comes to these independent film festivals, you see these creators at of course, a different stage, working so hard. And as you said, if they're picked, there's a reason. And
Right.
you may not love it, but I always go in saying, what I'm watching is someone's heart and soul on the screen, and I appreciate and respect that. And I think that's very important. You can transfer this to going to comedy festivals as well, local comedy festivals. You're seeing folks who are from all over the country driving to this place, usually for free, to be a part of this gathering. And I think that, yes, independent film is important. I have a deep love for 90s independent film, that grainy footage, like, everything from, the Slacker Clerks era in that early to mid 90s time. But I think that's fantastic, especially highlighting a place like Door County, because you don't think of Door County Film Festival, but as you said, it's grown over the years, and it brings legitimacy to what they're doing as well as the films they are showing.
And it grew, like they were on the show, those three guys I just mentioned, Kurt, Chris, and Antonio were on the show a couple nights ago. It started in a coffee house, showing short films in a coffee house. They could only fit like 30 people, and all of a sudden they've got a film festival on their hands. I like how it came to be.
Yeah, that's the way you do it. You grow it organically, and you do it, as we said earlier, as a team. You do this together, and you can create something beautiful. Really quick, Dom, can I get the tip music up really quick? I got a handy tip from Greg. I'm going to do it on the cuff right here now. This is your handy tip from Greg. Seek out independent art, whether it's film, comedy, music. Go to the venues, pay the money, and appreciate it. If you're at a stand-up comedy show, laugh, clap, enjoy. Everything else, shut up. Don't say anything. We don't want to hear from you. But support independent art. It is in your neighborhood wherever you live. There's somebody out there strumming a guitar, trying to make a movie, trying to do something to express their artistic soul. Support that. You don't have to go every weekend. You don't have to go every night. But if you can, every once in a while, go to an independent movie, go to a local band that's playing original music, do that. You are helping so much. And you might meet someone great. That's my handy tip from Greg.
Now more than ever. That's a great tip.
Thank you very much. See,
Sorry,
Pete
I
Schwaba.
stepped on your-
Oh, it's fine. No, it's fine. It's a Pete Schwaba approved tip.
Back to me. That's what
exactly.
it's all about, right?
That's what I'm about. Pete Schwaba has been our guest. He is my colleague and friend. I appreciate you being here, Pete. He is the host of Nightlight, Monday through Fridays, 5 to 8 here on Civic Media. I will talk to you very soon, my friend. You have yourself a good day.
My pleasure, buddy. Thanks so much, Greg.
Nope, no problem. I want to thank everyone who is involved in this show. I want to thank Tucker. I want to thank Dom. I want to thank Traffic. I want to thank Engineering. Without you, nothing works. We are just talking into microphones that are switched off. I want to thank everyone who called, texted, left a comment on the live stream. Without you, we do not exist. And I encourage you to come on back tomorrow. We have a great show for you tomorrow. We're going to be talking to a reporter from the Wisconsin Examiner about an article regarding ICE in Wisconsin, as well as my friend Angela Lang from Black Leaders Organizing Communities. And it's sports with J.R. Radcliffe. So come on back tomorrow, 9 to 11. Be here. Be amazing. You are amazing. This has been the Civic Media Mid-Morning Show. I'm Greg Bach. Stay tuned. Stay close. Stay informed. Have a lovely day.